The beauty pageant of that city was the event that each and every young girl aspired to take part in. So you can imagine the joy when the heroine of our story, our Lucia, saw the ad in the paper and immediately dashed in her application. And she spent the next few months preparing for that great event. And as part of her preparations, she made sure she went to every church, every chapel in that city, knelt down and begged of God for this one chance. And yes, you guessed it, God heard her prayer. And yes, that moment that every young girl covets appeared. Thunderous applause, hundreds of flashbulbs going off as that crown, the object of her desire, gently drifted on her head. She looked in the audience and she saw her parents' eyes filled with tears of joy. And soon after the event, the beauty queen of that city went about doing things that beauty queens do. Cutting ribbons, shaking hands, getting congratulated by the high and mighty of the city. And this whole fanfare, giving interviews, newspapers, magazines, posing against backdrops, signing big deals for brand endorsement. I mean, you know all that. Finally, she managed to get some space. She reached that little oasis of silence, my space. And that's when she got a chance to actually inspect this crown that they gave her. And then can you imagine her shock and dismay when she realized that the crown was actually hollow? It was supposed to be solid gold, right? That's what you'd expect. No, the whole thing was plastic. And the so-called jewels, they were all glass. There was no real diamonds and pearls and emeralds. So yes, she was disappointed because she also considered that to be part of her wealth. So she called the organizer and she says, I need to come and see you. So she goes and meets the organizers. And then she tells them, she says, I'm grateful for the opportunity. She says, but I was, as anybody would be, really disappointed. When I looked at the crown, it's plastic. They heard her out and then said to her, you know something, Lucia, this crown, it's symbolic. So they had a little bit of banter and then finally she says, well, that's not what most girls would expect, all right? I'm just here to let you know how we feel, how I feel. With that, she just walked out. She walked out and she straight away got back into what beauty queens do. 2 years passed. And finally, she gets this call from the same organizers. Shows up to meet them and they present this box. Opening it, they produce this absolutely stunning work of art. This beautiful, real, solid, gold crown, encrusted with absolute sparkling gems, diamonds, silver, pearls, emeralds, rubies, you name it. And they said to her, we've been really doing some thinking about what you told us, and you are right. A crown should really be a crown. So from now on, this is what's going to be. So here you go, here's your new crown. And that was the moment when there was such silence, you could hear a pin drop. And she looked them straight in the eye and said, take this crown back. And she pushed it towards them. She says, I don't need this. They said, well, why? And she says, because in these 2 years, I've experienced joy that no crown could possibly give me. I've held the hands of the dying. I've spent time listening to those who were sick and old. I heard their stories. I wiped the tears of orphans. I've consoled war widows. And all this brought me such rapture of happiness that I realized that that is the real crown, not this. So in those words, what she really meant to tell them, that the real crown is what you earn, not what you are given. And we see this played out day in and day out in the corporate space, the professional arena, where you find people with all these tags, C-suite, CEO, CFO, vice president, owner of companies, managing director, and the list is endless. But how many of these titles are really earned? And where and how do you earn these titles? And why is it so necessary that these titles have to be earned? Why do these titles have to get their value from being earned? 2 reasons. One is when you as a senior executive reach out and help those in need, those who are just starting out, those who need help, inspiration, motivation, guidance. What do? Sit at the back of your Rolls Royce, talk them down, fire them. Is that what you do? Or you remind yourself that you're really here to be that shepherd boy, to look after the lost sheep. This is your mandate. And by your example, that's point number 2. When you go out there, not as Lord and Master, but as a resource, that's where you get your shine. That's when people look at you and think, that's the kind of leader I aspire to be. So always remember, in your day-to-day life, when you get an opportunity and you see people in need, go out there and help them. Spend your time, share your resources, give freely with your experience, and motivate and help others to achieve more than you have achieved. And you will finally realize that what you go out there to help others to become actually helps you to become a greater individual. The satisfaction, the joy, the grace that comes as a result of what you do is your real title. It's the value of your designation, your position. So remember this each and every day of your life, and you will find that you will become greater than any beauty queen that has ever existed. You'll become King of Hearts.